Hello viewers, welcome back to your favorite English program on BINUSTV called Face to Face. My name is Sophia and I'll be hosting this talk show for 1 hour. So about today's topic, we have a very special topic. It's called English with Friendy. So what is it about? So before we get into our topic, let's welcome our special guest today. He is a friend of mine. We have known each other for quite a long time. So welcome to this talk show, Friendy.
Yes, thank you. Nice to meet you.
So how do you do?
Well, I'm doing fine too. How do you do?
Thank you, I'm fine. So maybe you can briefly introduce yourself to the viewers.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Frendy. I'm from the English department, or some people call it English literature. I'm BINUSTV 2018.
Thank you very much. So have you ever shown up here in Face to Face?
Not really. This is actually my first time actually going inside the studio itself. So yeah, I have never really had the experience to do that.
So how do you feel getting into the studio for the first time and getting in a talk show for the first time?
It feels kind of great. Well, I can't really describe because everything in my life, I really enjoy everything in my life. So basically, I suppose that this is definitely one of the most enjoyable experience I will have because this session is not exactly finished yet, but I can sense that it's going to be a positive thing, so yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. So maybe you can tell us, where do you live now? Boarding house or do you live in dorm?
I don't know what it's called, which kind of category it fits in, but it's in BINUS Square Hall of Residence.
I suppose that's called dorm.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so you said that you enjoy everything in your life. So how is your everyday? Is it fun or there are other factors? Maybe it's boring or maybe sometimes a bit, stressful?
Stressful and boredom, those two are the aspects which are inseparable from our lives, right? Those two are inherent to our lives. When I say I enjoy my life, that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not stressful, that I'm absolutely energetic at all times. There are times in which I am bored, there are times in which I am stressful, but regardless of those things, I think that those two aspects are one of the essence or two of the essences of life that we should all appreciate. So yeah, I enjoy all those things, bored or not, yeah.
You sound like you sound very deep. So you know a lot. You think a lot about philosophy of life.
Maybe it's because I watch too much movies and such, so I decided to think lots of things which are unnecessary because I used to have a lot of free time, right? So during those free times, when I don't know what to do, I just think, and maybe I think too much. So yeah, I became like what I am nowadays. So yeah.
So you think too much, and that kind of you kind of. End up here thinking about life, thinking about philosophy of life, and now you're just kind of Confucius in a modern time.
Well, if you think I am that kind of person, yeah, feel free to do so because I don't even know what kind of person I am right now. Yeah.
All right, so we put the philosophy of life perhaps later on. So what extracurricular do you join?
As for extracurricular activities, I currently part of the debating community, competitive debating community in BNEC, or BINUS English Club, of course.
And no wonder you sound so competitive.
Well, I'm not really that competitive, but yeah.
All right, so tell me what interests you, because guys are usually interested in video games, so do you play video games?
Yeah, I play lots of video games, or at least I used to play lots of video games. I really like video games, but lately I don't really have a time to play video games, but yeah, I'm still really interested in playing video games, regardless of genres.
So college life is getting in your hobbies way?
Kind of, yeah.
I feel that. I know I'm still in my first semester, but I feel that right now. I feel that really, really strong that the college life is trying to interfere with my, I don't know, how do I say it, my personal space, my personal life, my hobbies. So what kind of video games do you play, for example?
I played lots of genres, maybe all of them except for sports, I suppose, because I'm not really into sports.
You're not a sporty person?
Yeah, I'm not a sporty person. I can swim and I used to play badminton once a week or so, but yeah, I'm not really into that. As for genres of the video games, everything. But mostly I focus on Japanese-oriented genres, maybe such as RPGs, role-playing games, or I'm more active into visual novels actually, so yeah.
Visual novels. So maybe you can explain a little bit about visual novels. What kind of game it exactly is?
Well, some people call it a game, some people call it not a game. So, but basically, it's still in the form of video games, right? They have the discs, they have the cartridges and such, but you don't really play them. You just read through the text displayed on you throughout the screen, and there are several character sprites in two-dimensional space, whether
But
hand-drawn or
do you
not.
get to decide choices for the protagonist?
Oh yeah, that's one of the detrimental aspects in visual novels, I suppose, because you actually get to take part in deciding the ending, right, by choosing from a wide variety of options available halfway through dialogues and such.
So from each options that the game gives you, each of them gives a different ending in the end.
Yeah, there are good endings, there are bad endings, there are gag endings and such. Yeah,
Gag ending?
Yeah, silly endings, I suppose, which strays from the main route or the main ending.
I see. So are those games all in English, or can you play pure Japanese?
I hope I can play them in pure Japanese. Yeah, but unfortunately, I don't really, prefer to study Japanese language in depth, so I can't really play them in Japanese yet. So most of them, all of them rather, are in full English.
Are in full English.
Yeah.
So have you ever thought of spending a little time to learn Japanese? Maybe you can play the game. So maybe not only in English is your forte, then you can add another language to be your forte. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, I have thought about that. That's why from time to time, whenever I have the free time, and of course whenever I have the mood to do so, I studied a little bit of Japanese for now. But yeah, for the current moment, the only thing about Japanese that I know quite an amount of, but not too much, is basically the hiraganas and a few kanjis, and that's basically it.
I see. So have you ever, we're going back to English right now. Had you ever entered a kind of English course, or did you learn English basically by yourself or from school?
I've attended courses before, 2 courses to be exact. One is from my first year during primary school until my 6th year during primary school, and after I graduated from there, I continued on to the IELTS preparation or TOEFL preparation course for 2 or 3 years. That's for the courses, and of course I also learned English by studying at school and independent learning also, I suppose.
So what do you think? English is? Well, what is English to you?
English for me is a form of art, I suppose, because
a form of art.
Yeah, if you really like to put it in a cliched way, but it's an honest opinion, regardless of how cheesy it sounds. For me, it's a form of art because
not literature.
Yeah, literature is also a form of art, in my opinion. So basically, it's really complex, right? There are lots of rules, there are lots of grammars, there are lots of things that you should pay attention to.
It is quite confusing as well, since I'm in English department, so I get that a little bit. So maybe. What do you think, what kind of role do you think English has in your life? So basically, when you were still a kid, how did you see English? Did you see it as a kind of foreign language, or did you see it as a form of art, like you have just said just now?
When I was younger, I see English as a form of obstacle I need to overcome in order for me to be able to play video games, because I need to understand the language, right? The English.
I see the problem.
If I don't understand English, I can't play the game. So yeah.
Youngsters.
Yeah, youngsters.
We all play games. All right. So, you're in a lot of extracurricular?
Not really a lot. The only.
How many exactly?
One. Yeah.
Only in the debate.
Yeah, because it takes quite an amount of time.
But I heard you joined the organization.
Oh yeah, I joined an organization, but I don't really consider that as an extracurricular activity.
So you entered the organization, and then you entered further inside the department part, the debate part.
Yeah.
So what makes you like debate? Getting in. What makes you think that I want to get into the debate department? Just briefly, why? Was it on a whim, or did you really think about it throughout that you really want to take that part?
Okay, 2 brief explanations for that. First one is that I actually got into debating accidentally, I suppose.
Accidentally?
Yeah, because it was during my high school days. Maybe the teacher thought that I am kind of good in speaking English, so he and she just registered my name.
He just asked you to join debate.
Yeah, during the competitions, and during high school days, yeah, I was kind of forced to do it.
All right, so you were forced to do it.
Yeah.
All right, we will get into a short break right now. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned at Face to Face. Welcome back, viewers, back to Face with me, your host, Sophia. We were talking about English now with our guest, Friendy. So, back into the talk. So, we were talking about your activities, we were talking about your hobbies, and we were talking about you being in English department, and also a bit of gaming. So, does being in English department somehow affects your hobbies?
I don't really think that by being in English department affects my hobbies, because English department is also part of my, preferences. It's part of my hobbies too. It's part of my life.
Your interest.
Part of my interest. Yes, that's the word.
So being busy means that you're voluntarily being busy.
Yeah, I suppose I'm voluntarily being busy regardless of my will. Sometimes I don't really want to be busy, but I have to because it's part of my responsibility and it's for my own sake too. So yeah.
Responsible man, I see. Call that a compliment.
Yeah. It's
so you said that being in English department doesn't affect your hobbies somehow. But have you actually found new hobbies while being in the English department?
Yeah. I've also found one new hobby, I suppose, in English department.
Only one?
Only one. Well, mainly it's reading, I suppose, because I'm not a person that used to really like reading. Yeah, so after I got into English department, I feel that maybe I should read. I have to read because I'm part of the literature department right here in BINUSTV, so yeah, I'll just try. And I'm hooked into it right now, so yeah.
Well, basically being English department kind of forces you to love to read.
Yeah.
Well, we feel that all. I feel that right now. Well, not right now because I'm still in the first semester, but maybe I'll feel it later. You need to teach me a lot.
Okay.
As a senior, right? You're more superior than me, so you need to teach a lot. Since I don't know much about new courses like drama or phonetic sounds, I'm still learning it. So yeah, maybe I'm still really green. You need to pass me the knowledge that you got.
Yeah, sure.
You're gonna train me somehow. All right, so tell us how you have been doing in your class. You said that you enjoy life, so how have you been doing in class?
I suppose I'm doing kind of good in my class. Not really that great, but not bad either. So it's in the middle, I suppose. Good.
In the middle?
Yeah.
So. In a 50%, 50%, 50-50.
I'll rate my performance in class 80%.
80%.
Yeah. So
what about the rest, 20%?
Well, it's not really that preferable because, there are subjects outside of my field of interest. So yeah, that's the reason.
So your ability or your capability of finishing a job or a task being given is based on your interest or your mood.
Yeah,
Why is that?
Well, because I feel like in this life, like when we are doing something simply because we are forced to, and when we are not in the mood, it's basically the same as not doing anything at all. When you study, if you don't have a mood, then you won't be able to actually absorb the knowledge just needed, right? So yeah, that's my point.
But what if you have tests, but you don't like it, you don't have the interest, but you have tested, maybe tomorrow?
Yeah.
What would you do?
That's the exception, I suppose, because you really have to study. Yeah.
So you really have to force yourself to, reading through pages. Get all the materials inside your head and kind of finish it tomorrow. But then there's a high risk of forgetting it.
Well, a forced kind of studying is better than not studying at all, in my opinion. So when you really don't have the time, you have to force yourself. But when you still have a lot of time, in my way, it's better to wait when you have the mood, assuming you will have a mood later on. So yeah.
So basically, when you learn something, you try to find the interest in the material. So if you don't find the interest, then maybe you might laze around or slack around.
I will only laze around or slack around provided if it is not really essential, it is not really important to study the material. If the material affects my future, of course, I will study it regardless of my mood.
I see. So now, going from your class, I've noticed that you have a quite unique accent that not everybody has. So do you know how you get it?
I don't know how I get it because, I speak this way for like forever, so I don't really know.
Forever? Since you were a baby? No.
Well, no. Technically, when I can speak English, so yeah, I don't really know how I get it. I just watch lots of movies, I just play lots of games, and when I start to speak, it sounds like this. So I don't really have any idea how I acquired this kind of accent.
I see. So when was the first time you engaged with English, or maybe the first time you actually had a kind of contact with English, like course, or the first time you start learning English?
If it's about first contact, right? Of course, as it's like I have explained earlier, right? Previously, it's from video games. That was my first contact with English, and then cartoons and such.
Cartoons.
Yeah, that's more like informal acquaintance with English. But if it's formal ones, it's at school first before going on to
It's
courses.
at school. So
Yeah.
when you were still in primary school, for example, you learned English from school, and you started improve, grow the interest to video games, and that's where you get it.
Yeah.
And then as you grow up, you like to watch movies, you watch whatever, you listen to music, and it kind of affects your accent.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have any kind of advice or motivation to those who actually want to learn how to speak in proper English accent? We have phonology, but it doesn't really help that much, although we actually learn the phonology. So do you have any advice or motivation?
Well, in my case, I don't really think that accent is a crucial aspect, right? Because as long as you speak clearly and people are able to understand what you're saying, you deliver it with good clarity, it's perfectly fine regardless of your accent in the end anyways.
Regardless of accent.
Yeah.
But there's my teacher for phonology. He said accent is important in deciding whether our opponent understands us or not. What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, that's a problem because it depends on the nationality, I suppose. There are people who cannot really speak that, fluently, right? And in such cases, there are accents in which it is really difficult to understand. Same case with forced accent. If you don't know how to speak in a British accent, but you force your way to speak like a British, then people may or may not hear you understand, they may not understand it that well anyway, so yeah.
I see, so you just leave the accent that way.
Yeah, I leave the accent that way because I assume people can understand, not all people, but at least some people that I want them to understand can understand what I'm saying.
Do you think your accent is British accent or American accent?
It's kind of a hybrid one because there are some words in which I pronounce in American accent, there are some words which I pronounce as a British accent because, for example, like can't, right? I tend to pronounce cannot as can't, which is American, but sometimes in words that have the A syllable, for example, some apple, I suppose, it sounds like a British accent because it's apple, not apple, so yeah, it's apple. It sounds similar but very different, yeah.
I see. So maybe we live in Indonesia, and when we were still young, we learned more of the American way. We watched more of the American movies before before Harry Potter kind of pops out and British accent kind of roams around, spreads around, and that we all want to learn British right now. So perhaps we are a mixture of British and American. But what do you have a kind of solution for those who actually speak in English Indo accent?
Well, personally, I'm fine with those speaking with Indo-English accent as long as I can understand them. People can understand them, as I've mentioned earlier. But for several sakes, people tend to think that American accents or mainly British accents are better than those Indo-English accents, right? Because they sound cooler, they sound more classy and such, and this is what we want according to their opinion. But I think it's fine. As for a solution, if you would like to learn other accents, feel free to do so, and it may be recommended to do so, but you don't think you want to learn it, it's not in accordance with your desire and preference, yeah, you can stick with your accent as long as people can understand you.
Okay, still with the accent. So after American accent done, after British done, after English Indo done, what do you think about Singlish? I find it quite convenient when speaking to people. What do you think? Do you think it's a proper accent, or do you think it should be formalized, or do you think it's convenient as well?
Well, I think that even though there are quite an amount of negative remarks concerning Singlish, right? People may say that it's informal or it's too impolite for us to actually use in our daily lives, but I don't think it's really too much of a problem, and it can actually be considered as a proper accent because it depends on the culture, right? People in some respective areas in Singapore are really comfortable speaking it, and whenever people are comfortable with it, they understand it, and when they understand it, it's all well. So yeah, all is well in my opinion.
All right, so finishing about the accent. Well, I myself being English department, I have heard a lot of people praising you. Are you aware of what it is about?
I don't really think that there are that many people praising, but even if there are those praising me, it's either because of my, speed in speaking, I suppose. It may or may not be a good thing. And second, it's
your speed?
Yeah, it's maybe another second point is that it may be due to my achievements in debating and other competitive fields, and that's it. Yeah.
Speed achievements. Are you aware that those people who praise you are actually people around you?
Oh, well, yeah, I suppose.
Do you have someone in mind when we talk about someone praising you? Do you have someone in mind, like suddenly his or her name kind of pops up in your mind?
As for a specific name, I don't really have a specific name because when you say people around me are praising me, a bunch of people starts coming to my mind because they're
You
like,
get a glimpse of it.
Yeah.
You probably know who they are.
Yeah, I know who they are, I suppose. Yeah.
All right, so it is about your achievements. So when there's achievement to get, there's competition to win. So could you tell us what was your first competition and when?
My first competition was during my high school days once again, and if I remember
During high
correctly,
school?
Yeah, during high school.
You did not join competition firstly in the when you were still in primary or when you still in secondary.
Competitions related to English, no. So during my primary year, I participated in one coloring competition for children. I don't think that counts. So yeah, my first competitive experience concerning English is during my high school days.
High school.
Yeah, it's a speech. Yeah, I think it's a speech competition if I remember correctly.
All right, so it's high school.
Yeah.
So it all starts at high school. All right, we start right there. We don't want to spoil anything. We will get into a short break. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Watch out at Face to Face. Welcome back, viewers, to Face to Face. We're still with our dearest guest, Friendy. We're still talking about the competition. So, about your first competition, was it speech or was it debate?
If I remember correctly, it's speech. It
was
speech, yeah.
So, did you feel nervous in your first speech?
Well, of course I would feel nervous, right? But when I actually stood in front of the podium, I don't really feel that nervous anymore, but of course, nervous was still there, of course.
Nervous is essential part of doing speech or public speaking.
Yeah.
Okay, so when was it? In high school, when exactly?
In high school, if I remember correctly, again, it's during my second semester, during my first year.
First year,
First
second
year,
semester.
Yeah.
That's specific. All right, so do you think your first competition played a big role in your life? Did it kind of set a kind of passion or fire inside your heart?
Well, yeah, it kind of, because, after I finished that competition, I started to be more ambitious, I suppose, and...
Ambitious.
Yeah.
Did you win or did you lose in that first competition?
It's not technically a win, but it's not technically a loss either. If I remember correctly, I got like third place or something.
Third place.
Yeah.
That's called a win.
Okay.
So because of getting the third place, you get the kind of greed to keep doing it, to reach for the top.
Yeah, I suppose I can call it a form of greed.
Yeah. A form of greed.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Let's call it passion or ambition.
Okay.
Okay, you joined local English speech competition in high school back in your hometown. So what made you want to join it? Were you forced or did you volunteer?
So basically, the teacher just asked me whether I would like to participate or not. And since I viewed it as a once-in-a-lifetime experience, I just said yes, and yeah.
Once in a lifetime, you didn't think that you would keep continuing?
I didn't think that, but in the end, I did continue it, but at that time, I didn't really think of that.
So did you enjoy all the competitions that later on we will discuss? Did you enjoy?
Yeah.
Each of the competitions?
I enjoyed every single one of them.
You actually won first place and second place in local English speech competition. And that's impressive, I think.
No,
were
thank you.
Were you surprised when they announced you as the winner, for example, like the first place, Friendy or something, and then you get to stand in front of people's eyes and you get to, show them your achievements, and were you surprised when they announced you?
Yeah, of course I was surprised because I was planning I may not win this, and after this I would like just to go home and play video games and forget about all this competitive thingy. But when my name got called, I was really delighted and surprised, of course.
You were surprised. Maybe you were thinking about other stuff, other things, and then when they suddenly call you, just
yeah.
I see. I felt that before. All right. So when you won when you won the first place and second place, so in both occasions, in different occasions, right? What did your parents say? What did your parents react? How did they respond to your, victory, triumph, success?
They were really happy because if I remember correctly, when they were doing their household chores, I simply went home and brought this trophy along with me. And even though they simply said that, yes, it's a good thing and that's it, I could see smiles on their faces, plastered across their faces for like 2 or 3 days. So yeah.
They were surprised.
Yeah, I suppose.
So when you saw their smiles, were you happy as well?
Yeah, of course I was happy.
So are you the only child?
No, I have like one older sister and one older brother. I'm the youngest.
You didn't expect to be able to, reach the first place and second place and, actually make your parents happy?
Yeah, I didn't expect that. I mean, I wish for that, but I'm not really that brave to actually expect that. So yeah.
All right. So up to here, we all know and it is clear how fast you can speak. Perhaps you can do a challenge over here. This is a challenge that only happens here.
Oh, should I open this right now?
No.
Okay.
Okay, perhaps you can show us how you do the speech. There's a short 1 paragraph of speech that I have prepared for you and a bit of tongue twister. So maybe you can open it right now and you can just read directly from the top.
Okay, right now.
Yeah, right now.
With the same background, we should fight back against racism. Despite being different, we are all connected by the same reason to stand together. When fighting towards bigger forces, we should stand strong and be fearless. Being positive is also a choice to keep us together. We shall not be destroyed by society. Refuse and reject being colonized. Refuse and reject being skinned. Stand up for yourself, potatoes. If Pickford's Packers pack a packet of crisps, would you, the packet of crisps that Pickford's Packers pack, survive for 2.5 years? Well, yeah.
Wonderful. That's amazing.
Well, thank you.
I have never seen anyone, diving into the speech or into the task, and you did so wonderful.
Well, thank you. It was a tough
And
job.
the tongue twister.
Well.
Have you ever done this kind of tongue twister before? So you did it so marvelously. Have you ever had this tongue twister?
I had a few tongue twisters before, but not this one.
Not this one.
Yeah, I've never done that.
But you did it. But you did it.
Well, thank you.
Wow. I tried myself at home and I couldn't do it.
Okay.
Maybe that's because of my tongue. I don't know.
That's very
All right, we have known your capabilities right now. We know that you have the talent in English. We know you have the talent in debate. We know you have the talent in speech, considering from your speed and your way of pronouncing and intonation. So there are still Greens who still struggle at how to do great speeches. Is there any key points in doing speeches?
Key points in doing speeches, I think that first of all, you need to actually understand and know what you are going to talk about, what you want to talk about, right? But another important aspect is that other than knowing fully well what you are going to deliver, you also need to deliver a structured speech so people can understand. So you can't deliver a messed up speech, right, in which you explain point A, point B, and then return to point A, and then point B, and then point A again before going to point C and such. So being structured, being organized is one of the key points.
So one of the key points is being organized, well organized, structure. And so what do you suggest? So we completely, before the competition or before a kind of occasion where, we will, or whoever it is that will do the speech, have to prepare the script, prepare the whole speech, the material, and, make it structurized, make it organized, well organized first, and then master it before actually speaking in front.
Yeah, of course. So when you are given a topic, right, you would have a clear depiction, or at the very least, a general illustration of what you would like to say, right? When you actually have that kind of perception, the only thing you need to do in order for you to have a structured speech is to add signposts, I suppose. So you say firstly,
signpost.
Yeah, firstly, blah blah blah. Secondly, blah blah blah. Thirdly, blah blah blah. Lastly, blah blah blah. In conclusion, blah blah blah. That really helps.
So that helps. I have never done that before, but
okay.
I managed to do my speech before. And about key points, I didn't do what you said, but I think I tried to make it organized. Well, I used to join English speech competition, and I think personally, I think I speak well and fluent, but I never got first place at all. What do you think is the problem? Maybe the content? Or maybe do you think my body language, or do you think my I don't know, maybe my accent?
Well, as for content, it's really kind of subjective, right? Because it depends on the topic. You may or may not have a good content. But as far as I can give you an advice, I think that another important thing is concerning confidence, right? Confidence involves intonation, pauses, fluency, and such. As long as you're confident, as long as you can speak with a wide variety of intonations and not a flat tone of speech manner, I think that it will really contribute a lot.
I only managed to reach the 3rd place.
I also reached 3rd place during my first competition, so yeah.
I joined a lot of local English speech competitions, but I've only won the 3rd place so far. But I don't know. What is your secret of winning, 1st place and 2nd place?
I don't think I actually have a secret because most of the time I don't know what I'm doing. I just
Oh,
prepare
come
a
on.
speech
We
and
all
talk.
know. We all know you have the secrets of how to do. How?
As I've mentioned earlier, I suppose be confident. Don't stutter too much. Even if you are saying the wrong information, even if you think that you are making mistakes,
Be confident.
be confident. Treat it as if you don't make any mistakes at all during your speech. So yeah.
All right. So talking about speaking in front of people, it's always about the nervosity and the fear. So how to get rid of the fear to speak in public? You seem to do it effortlessly from the surprise just now.
Well, I was still nervous because, one of the main reasons on why I prefer to go standing in front of the podium empty-handed is because I always tremble whenever I hold a piece of paper or whenever I hold the
Tremble.
mic. Until now, I always tremble. So basically, I'm still nervous in the end.
You're still nervous
Yeah,
in
I'm
the
still
end.
nervous in the end.
We still try to overcome it.
Yeah, I'm still trying to overcome
So
it.
is there any advice or kind of suggestion how to handle the fear? Maybe you hum a kind of song before your turn, or maybe you kind of pray or something.
Well, you can pray, but I use the classic technique, right? You breathe in really deep and then you let it out really long, in a really long way, and yeah, that did it for me, I suppose.
That did it for you, but
Yeah.
you still tremble.
Yeah, I still tremble, but at least my voice didn't tremble, so yeah.
That's at least your voice doesn't tremble.
Yeah,
You did it very marvelously. I'm your fans right now.
thank you.
So you won 1st place in English debate in local high school as well. How did you prepare yourself for the competition?
I read news, I suppose, from the internet because I'm not really into newspapers. So we need general knowledge.
You read articles.
Yeah, but not that much.
So maybe you can tell us how your first debate was about, if you remember.
I don't really remember because it covers a wide variety of topics, but if I recall correctly, it's about the internet, whether the internet is good or bad.
I remembered my first debate competition. My first debate was actually a provincial level of debate competition, so I was really, really nervous. But, our school sent, 8 of us to the competition, so I thought I would not be winning this. But, from all the topics, I took the most controversial one.
And
I
what was it?
took death penalty for corruptors.
Oh yeah, okay, interesting.
And I because so far that is a topic that I was really clear about what it matters and all the stuffs. So I did my best to do it, and yeah, I guess you could call it my first success. I won the 1st place, but it didn't feel like a debate. I felt it more of a speech.
Yeah.
But maybe that's one of the mistakes from the administration.
Yeah, technical stuff. So
So
yeah.
it's not in my control. So I actually won it. I went to national competition, but I didn't get into the quarterfinal. All right. So not only in speech, not only in debate. So let's see the list of your achievements. You won finalist in newbies debating competition in Universitas Indonesia.
Yeah.
Champion of Indonesia Varsity English Debate Novice category this year.
Yeah.
Octo-finalist of ALSA Universitas Indonesia Debate Competition this year as well. Champion of International Relation Competition Universitas Islam Negeri Debate Department this year too. Second speaker in Universitas Islam Negeri Debate Competition. Quarter-finalist in EFL category of United Asia Debating Championship this year as well. And you also became an adjudicator in UMN Debate Competition this year.
Yeah.
So basically, the peak of your glory is this year.
Yeah, it's this year. Even compared to my high school times, I think this year during my university lives, they are better compared to my
So
high school
comparing
days.
to all your success and your efforts, do you feel more of more exhaustion, or do you feel your happiness overwhelms over your fatigue and exhaustion in preparing all the competitions?
Well, during the preparation of these competitions, of course, I'll feel exhausted, right? Because we practice almost daily for several hours and such. But when we actually won or at the very least achieved something, even simply as an octofinalist, of course, there will be happiness, right? Because you actually managed to achieve something. But even if you don't, in which there were times in which I didn't actually achieve anything. I got eliminated during the preliminary rounds, but I still feel satisfied because deep inside me, I know that I did it better compared to my last competition, even though I may or may not achieve anything. So, yeah.
I see. So when you won all these competitions, what did your friends tell you? What did your families tell you?
They didn't really tell me that much. They simply said, congratulations, as expected, or wow, did you really win? Well, it's nice, and that's it.
Did they ask you to treat them to a kind of meal or food?
Oh, yeah, some of them did, and I treated them anyway, so yeah.
All right, thank you for the information. We'll get into a short break. Don't go anyway. Stay tuned at Face to Face. Watch out, viewers. Welcome back, viewers, to today's topic, English with Friendy. So let's get back to our talk about competition. So what was the latest competition that you entered?
The latest one is UADC 2015.
UADC.
Yeah, the United Asian Debating Championship.
United Asian Debating Championship. So is it national or is it international?
It's international, I suppose, because it's an Asian scale competition.
So wait, let me check. You won?
Quarterfinalist at
Quarterfinalist.
the EFL category, yeah.
EFL category. So you actually achieved something in that, although you didn't win the first place, second place, or third place. So maybe you could tell us a bit of the moments during the preparation and during the actual debate. So maybe a bit of the moments, sad, happy moment.
Oh yeah. Well, we practiced a lot. We practiced like 3 months in advance. So
3 months.
Yeah,
in
3
advance.
months before the competition for like almost every single day, like 5 hours every day. And it was really a delightful experience because we held that competition in Bali, and it was my first time going over to Bali itself. So it's a wonderful experience concerning that. But there are EFL category and main category, right? In which in the EFL category, it's English as foreign language. So
English as foreign language.
Yeah. So the competitors are like Indonesia, for example, Myanmar, for example, those who don't really utilize English as their main language. And there is the main break, right, for countries such as Malaysia, Singapore, and such. We almost made it to the main break.
Almost made it.
Yeah, they took like 16 teams to the main break category, and we ranked 17th. So yeah, that's kind of a sad thing.
That's a shame.
Yeah, we were like one position away, but regardless of that, we get to meet the world champion. We get to take photos together with them. It was really a nice experience.
Did you get to visit around Bali? Have some like when I was in national, I went to Bogor and we actually went to the zoo. Did you go for some sightseeing?
Yeah, we went to beaches. I suppose I forgot the names of the beach, but
Kuta,
I'm not
Kuta,
really.
Kuta.
Yeah, Kuta. I'm not really
That's
into
really
nature.
famous.
So, yeah.
You need to know about it
Well,
as an Indonesian.
Okay. I'm now
Okay,
ashamed
so
of
during the
myself.
competition, from which country was the 16th?
Malaysia, of course.
Malaysia.
Yeah, Singapore. They are dominated by the teams from these two nations.
So what makes you think that your team, what makes your team lose to the Malaysia team?
I suppose in a lot of ways actually. Their
lot of
arguments
ways.
are they can think. Most of the time they think out of the box, which is really amazing. While in my case, I don't really think that I can actually think that much way, think in a long-term way enough. So the arguments are really spectacular.
So basically you think that your team's preparation is really not that enough, just a little bit more.
We did our best, so I suppose that it's enough to cover our guilt, but it's not really enough to beat them, but we will keep on practicing, so yeah.
So they were giving something, unexpected arguments then?
Yeah, lots.
All right.
So, yeah.
All right. So what makes you motivated to join all the competitions from speech to debate?
Motivations.
Ambition.
Yeah, ambitions basically, two things actually. First, it's ambition. I would like to achieve as much as possible. And second, I just feel good standing in front of the podium and talk.
You just feel good.
Yeah, like I rule over all these people. In fact, I'm not, but yeah, it's just a feeling of me. So.
All right. So with all your knowledge and achievements in English, why did you choose to enter English major? Won't it be too easy for you?
I think that majors are the aspects, the platform in which you could develop yourself, right, in what you like to do. And I like English, so I chose English as my major because I love English. And assuming that we should all be happy in our lives, then why not choose something that you like to do and continue it over the course of your life and such?
All right. Do you have any message to the viewers? Maybe you can give advice on how to speak fluently and how to maybe debate or speak properly or public speaking.
Well, be confident and watch lots of videos, read lots of books, play lots of video games, do whatever you want as long as in English, so you can habitualize yourself in speaking. But most of all, enjoy life. That's it.
Enjoy life.
Yeah, enjoy life.
So
Life is
basically,
just
keep watch movies and accustom yourself to the speeches inside the movies or the music or everything that is related to English.
Yeah.
And enjoy life.
Enjoy life.
So how do you handle stress then?
I force my way through it,
Force your way.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's
I
my
see.
responsibility.
Force
so.
your way, do your responsibility, and enjoy life.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for coming. It's been a really good talk with you. I hope I can invite you again in
Likewise.
the next occasion. All right, viewers. Apparently, we have come to the end of this show. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned next week, Friday, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned face to face. Thank you for the staffs and thank you for everybody who have been working on this project together and make everything possible. Thank you very much. I'm your host, Sophia. See you next week.